It's not good. It's not bad. It's okay. I feel like this is the recurring theme with this game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add this part so I can add it into the video. Gamerangs is not gonna mention the EULA or what Randy Pitchfork was saying. With the new EULA that they have updated and added to all of the Borderlands games, you are giving kernel access of your PC to them. If you're okay with that, go ahead and buy the game. On top of that, Randy Pitchfork decided to insult his own player base with saying that if you're actually a fan of this franchise, you will find a way to figure out where to get the money to pay for the game. And when he got massive backlash on it, he reduced the price on the game. So it's not because he wanted the game to be less than $90, what most companies are doing these days, is because he put his foot into his mouth and that's why he reduced the price. Before you buy Borderlands 4.
And we're back with another episode of Before You Buy, that show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. And today we're talking about Borderlands 4, the long awaited return of this fun co-op.
Also, spoiler, we bought it, we played it. We were watching this after the fact of buying and playing it.
First-person shooter, looter shooter franchise is here. Keep in mind this video is just going to be first impressions since the game launched. I jumped in the second it was available and I've been playing non-stop since. So again, not super deep into the game, but just some upfront first impressions, some things to expect, a couple of takes. Borderlands games typically have very long tails, so with that I will just say up front, it seems to me like Borderlands 4 is solid. It's fresh. It's just fresh enough while still very distinctly still more Borderlands. And, you know, if you're not a Borderlands person, you might not be amazed, but I think this does.
I want to take note that he's playing on console.
Yeah.
We've talked about it during... It's different for the PC port than the console.
I do feel like he should have made a disclaimer that, hey, I'm playing on console, so your performance on PC might be vastly different from what I'm having on console. Besides that, if you like Borderlands aesthetic, you might not like this at all, because it does have a pretty significant difference in the stylization of this game.
Enough to keep things interesting. I don't know how the hardcore Borderlands fan is necessarily going to take to it. I'm a bit more of a casual fan. 2 was my favorite. I have touched them all, but at the top, this one feels fresh and it is impressive.
2 is everyone's favorite. By this point, everyone knows whenever you talk about Borderlands, all you need to do is say you love Borderlands 2, you hated Borderlands 3, and you think that it all went downhill with Tiny Tina. And everyone will be like, oh, yeah. That's all. Just memorize that.
A big open world, lots of engaging quests, guns right up front that are just really, really cool. Some tweaks to the humor, style, storytelling we'll get into. And of course, like every freaking AAA major release lately, some technical issues at launch. But to get into it and just kind of really set things up, this takes place on the planet of Kairos, and it still feels very familiar. It feels very Borderlands-y. There's a lot of...
I will say, though, I kind of get why people who are not super into Borderlands would be like, okay, I'm enjoying this game if they're playing on console. I can see that happening. They don't know all the changes that happened. They don't know like everything they removed.
Familiar elements, but it's also different enough. It just feels like it's leaning heavier into sci-fi. And with that comes 4 new Vault Hunters. There's Vex, the Siren, who can summon, so you're kind of like conjuring and commanding these things from a distance. There's Amon, he's the Forge Knight, who is kind of like the tank and can conjure up cool weapons and do some melee stuff with some complex elemental stacking. There's Harlow, the Gravatar, who uses tech and can move enemies, and this entangled...
Also, I think it's very important in our video, like before you buy, to mention that you are giving them full access to your PC.
And then there's Rafa, the Exo Soldier, who I played as, who can summon cool shoulder-mounted auto-targeting guns, among other things. He's pretty zippy. So I picked him and jumped in. And immediately with the presentation, it does seem like the character you pick does have a little bit more agency, They quip a little bit more, they talk a little bit more. It's not too annoying, don't worry, but they also pop up in
In that case, don't play Vex because she talks nonstop and she says the weirdest stuff.
cutscenes, which is pretty cool. The whole intro sequence, like the first area you play through, the tutorial section, is kind of weak. It's not too thrilling, but at the very least, it does set up the big bad villain of this game, the Timekeeper, who I still haven't quite figured out in my playtime yet, but
I will also underline the co-op feature is actually surprisingly good in this game. It doesn't randomly kick you out of co-op or the party. It doesn't take a century to connect. Surprisingly enough, the co-op feature is really good. It's actually really solid.
he looks cool. He seems interesting, and a lot of the time, as you go through, you're dealing with his direct reports. So his lower tier commanders that all kind of have a firm grasp of this weird world. Now, the shooting, which I think is the most important part of these games, I think feels pretty damn great. The guns immediately engage you, like pretty early on. I had some surprisingly kick-ass weapons with tons of variation and creativity to them, that like weapons that like felt like end game. I really like that. It still feels like Borderlands, where it's like overwhelming every time you see like a boss or like a sub boss like pop like a pinata with a bunch of weapons of different colors. Like
No, in this one, it feels like, hey, let's amp the difficulty on an upcoming like character or boss. What should we do? Oh, just make him fly. People's tracking is dog shit. It's gonna be more difficult. Just make him fly. I thought that Vex reminded me of Lifu. Oh, God forbid. God forbid. Oh, someone was asking about gameplay with Vex. Vex, look, she's a very excruciatingly annoying character, but I do like the cat. Trouble, that's his name. I do like the cat. So if you check the VOD, all you'll hear like every 5 minutes is just me just talking to Trouble and screaming at him. Because he won't stop showing his belly to me and won't stop rolling around.
it can be overwhelming, but whittling down and finding the cool shit is where that addiction comes in, where that fun is there. And I'm happy to report that that is definitely still a thing. I've encountered all kinds of stuff, weird, over-the-top pistols that can snipe, long-range sniper rifles that can like sap enemies' life force, guns that shoot weird fireworks, switchable on the fly elemental properties on some of these guns. Really satisfying machine guns that can just rip through enemies. And even when I think they kind of like thought of everything in terms of like the variation of different types of grenades and throwables, I've seen some new stuff, and that's impressive. In terms of navigating these battlefields, despite it being a big open world, when it does funnel you into a place like in a story mission, like when you gotta do stuff, it feels like a really detailed, really well thought out shooting arena. Lots of exploding barrels of all different types, fun points.
Okay, I'll give him that on the barrel stuff, yes. If you time it and plan how you fight, there is pretty interesting stuff you can do with the barrels, since you have like the cryo barrel, the toxic barrel, like all these different ones. And you can lure the enemy and explode it there and stuff like that. There is pretty cool stuff you can do with that. But that's like the bare minimum. I think they should tell you if it's on a system or PC with some basic about your PC. Road, the problem is that they did provide specs, the specs you need to have to run the game, but they lied about the specs for PC. That's the problem.
Points to essentially swing or pull yourself up to higher elevation with a pretty satisfying grappling hook, and the ability to slide, dash side to side, jump, double jump, and even hold to hover just kind of feels good. You feel like you're really in command of these shootouts, of these arenas. Especially with a really satisfying, like if you're up in the air, maybe you grapple hook yourself up to the air, you can hold a button and then slam down with a ground pound, and then sometimes it'll make enemies, like weaker enemies, explode into bloody guts, and that's just good. So far, I have experienced some good, satisfying gore, good destruction, good explosions, and I've really liked the world. Even just experiencing a small part of it, I instantly realized how staggeringly big the open world really.
I cannot express enough how much I actually do want to enjoy this game. Because Zen is a huge fan of Borderlands. It just doesn't feel as satisfying. I'm not saying it's the worst game out there. It's not the worst game out there. But it's also not the best game out there.
really is, because yes, a lot of it is built for riding around in vehicles, but even spending some time in the early vehicles, feeling like I've seen a good chunk, and then zooming out and seeing how much of the map I haven't covered. Even in these small chunks I've experienced, like these zones, there was a lot of variation, and I think this just helps make the game feel different, just like a good open world. And I say that because I did some main questing, but I also went off the beaten path and took up some bounties that you can find in these little safe houses that you can claim for yourself, as well as just side quests you can stumble across. And of the couple of side quests I engaged with, one I thought was going to be like really, really dry, bottom of the barrel, repetitive stuff, and ended up ending in a way that completely surprised me. So I can't speak to every side quest, but just early impressions, I found quite a few that I liked, and that were also, of course, rewarding.
Okay, side quest is just you go there, you do this, you go there, you shoot that, you go there, talk to that person, then you go track down. That's literally like any side quest in any single game. I don't know what to tell you. The best way of describing this game, not the worst, it's not the best, it's okay.
Rewarding with some good stuff in the end. Now, of course, at launch, like I said, some technical issues have been popping up. If you look at early Steam reviews, people are pretty mixed, and it seems like on PC the game is poorly optimized. Of the
That's the understatement of the freaking century and millennia. It was crashing down PCs with a 50 series GPU. I would say it was a little more than just poorly optimized, but they somewhat fixed it. Irregardless, if you're buying the game on PC and you're going according to the Steam minimum requirements that they're showing there, it's false. Do not go based on the minimum requirements of this game. You will not be able to run it, and you will have to end up refunding it.
the two systems I tested mine on, I didn't have too many issues, if I'm completely honest, but that's just me. Everybody's PC, everybody's rig is different. I've seen widespread reports of crashing and just real struggles to get the game over 60 FPS without just like a super substantial rig. So
Some people's PCs absolutely burn. Not burn, blue screened.
definitely keep that in mind. What I will say is that I do feel like Borderlands and the publisher, they do have the resources and probably very likely will fix this pretty quickly. But
Yeah, but the problem is people are having an issue with it because why did you release it before you fixed it? Why did you have to release and sell the game as an unfinished product? It's like a recurring theme in gaming.
you can never bet on that, and I also think that games should just launch and release in a better state. We've talked about this a million times. It's getting repetitive and
I'm so glad he mentioned it. I'm so happy about it.
kind of ridiculous at this point. So keep that in mind. Like I said, I didn't have too many issues. It didn't launch optimized. I had to like really tweak the settings and stuff to get it working well for me. But once I did, I was looting and
Cope won't fix it. As much as I would want to jump in on the hate bandwagon, they actually are fixing it. By the time we started streaming it on the same day, they already fixed quite a bit of performance issues on PC. Take it for what you want.
shooting with minimal problems. However, the fact that there isn't a FOV slider on console, I think that should be updated. That's an issue because even playing on PC, I'm not one to get motion sickness, but the default FOV did jam me up a little bit. I had to adjust it with the setting. I'm glad the setting was there, and I think console players should have that option as well. For me, in terms of issues, my bigger thing was the UI. It feels a little underbaked, like the menus and stuff. These games often have an issue because there's just
The menu thing, it's so much more simplified than other Borderlands games. You even have like I forgot how this is called.
Upgrades.
Yeah, you don't even have to go anywhere for upgrades. You can literally do it from your menu. It's such a simplified version of any other Borderlands games. You could kind of call this like baby's first Borderlands game. It's so much more simplified. It has such a small entry level to learn. It's not good, it's not bad, it's okay. I feel like this is the recurring theme with this game.
Yeah, this is a very non-offensive menu.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it. A non-offensive menu.
much data, so much information on screen at once, so many little RPG elements and stacking things and perks and numbers, right? But I think here the UI just looks and feels kind of flat. It doesn't really help anything really stand out. I also had some issues with highlighting certain things and having windows pop up that then covered other things I also wanted to be looking at the same time. So I definitely like to see some tweaks.
Yeah, I kind of don't agree with him on anything. I feel like the UI is like the only thing I didn't have an issue with, but it might feel differently on console. On PC, the UI feels very intuitive.
And some adjustments. Other things like the map and everything like that worked fine. But yeah, some little things here and there. Nothing that really got in the way of my fun playing for quite a few hours. Since yesterday, as soon as the game was available on PC, I played most of it solo, and I found the game interesting enough and engaging enough to play solo, and I think Borderlands games are usually good for that. But I did have somebody else jump in my game just to test it out.
Yeah, I don't think I would play this game solo. I know Zen would play it because he wants to 100% it. I don't think I would. I had if you look at the stream, me and Zen were laughing a lot because we love being around in games.
Yeah.
So we had the buff of friend slop. I wouldn't go as far as saying like, oh, I just cannot wait to play it solo. It's fun with it like a specific kind of friend or a spouse or whatever. Like it's fun with a specific kind of duels. Yes, the game can be fun in that sense. So I should assume my 2060 6 gig won't work with this. What's your specs on yours? What's the GPU?
3070?
His is 3070 and he was barely able to run it.
Yeah, I'm like locking at 60, but it dips down to 40.
Yeah, just in case if anyone needs this information. 3070, Zen was barely able to run it on the lowest setting. I have a 4060 Ti. I had to run it on the lowest settings possible to stream it. PC has different performance than console.
See how the servers are doing, and we didn't have any issues, at least, which, you know, at launch you never know. But again, it's that shooting and it's the loop of getting the guns, you know, the Borderlands 101 that seems like it's still working here and really pulled me in. And on top of that, the big open world, but also the look of the world, kind of like the way the details work out and some of the colors, feels to me like a bit of a continuation from Tiny Tina, but like that's very much a different game, set in a different period, going for a whole different style. But it just feels like an evolution of what they were doing there in some ways.
Just a hungry boy and a hungry.
Would you agree with that? I would heavily disagree.
I disagree.
The whole gunplay and everything felt very different in Tiny Tina. Even the humor, everything felt different in Tiny Tina. The main resemblance you had of Borderlands and Tiny Tina is the style.
The cell shading, which they literally toned it down in this game. And honestly, the guns were definitely more fun in Tiny Tina.
Yeah, I did not like guns in Borderlands 4. There's only one gun I enjoyed it because it was funny. The pistol that shoots, and then when you reload, it goes out. It goes out as a heat-seeking missile. That gun was funny.
I'd even get variations of like guns, you know, like there's like multiple brands of guns that act different.
Mhm.
I didn't get much. Like it just felt tedious.
Felt like we were constantly getting the same guns over and over again.
Might have been just our RNG or something. I don't
Maybe.
know.
Is Borderlands 4 horrible in optimization like 3? Borderlands 4 has worse optimization than 3.
world.
You know what? I haven't seen it in a while. You should probably move on. Updating your Echo with the parts we need for the bolt scanner.
But more Borderlandsy, some really interesting enemy types right off the bat. Some good boss battles just in the first few hours. So I'm looking forward to seeing where it really goes. The other thing I think should be addressed, a lot of people like to talk about this, is the humor. Humor is, of course, incredibly subjective. I think some people don't realize that. Look, some people like one flavor of humor, some people like another, some people like a mix of in between. Some people find Borderlands humor absolutely.
I hate the new Claptrap so much, I want to burn him alive. But to be fair, the previous Claptrap I also wanted to shoot. I guess nothing changed.
Which is a good thing, I guess.
With Claptrap, yeah.
Yeah.
But I never wanted to burn my character alive before. Vex is so freaking annoying. God damn, she needs to shut the hell up.
He talks a lot.
She doesn't talk a lot, she just talks stupid. I love the kitty ability, but goddamn Vex needs to shut the hell up.
Absolutely grating, and some people can't get enough of it. There's been lots of talks of like Borderlands 4 being toned down or scaling back from how Borderlands.
Oh, it definitely is toned down. They tried to make it like Borderlands, but like politically correct Borderlands. At least that's how it's coming across. If you actually sit and play it. Not if you sit and watch someone play it, but if you actually sit and play it yourself, it feels like it's like more like toned down. I cannot wait for people coming out of the woodworks to try to put their own 2 cents, even though they never played the previous ones or the new one.
Games really present themselves, and I'd say it is noticeable, but I would say to Borderlands fans, like, it doesn't feel like the game completely ran away from its identity. There are still pretty frequent jokes and quips, and I gotta be honest, like, a couple of them really hit with me. Especially, I don't know if you've seen the headlines going around there, and there's one where there's a location in the game named after Embracer, like, you know, Embracer Group, the publisher, and like it's just like it's like a trash island with like a talking toilet. It's a whole funny thing. So the game still has lots of bits. It still feels like Borderlands, so
The Rick and Morty level of humor? No. The HR version of Rick and Morty.
if you still don't like this stuff, I don't know, but I'd say still give it a try because it is a little different. It is a little tuned, but I'm glad they didn't make the game like gritty or grimdark or like super serious like that first trailer or so like suggested. It's still Borderlands. It's Claptrap doing a bunch of dumb shit. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where this one goes. It seems like a pretty massive game. I could see people spending a lot of time in this one. You could very clearly see the depth of the weapons, the depth of the characters themselves, the Vault Hunters. Like each has their own, like technically.
Also, if you're playing on this PC, do not use the firework gun. It's gonna make your game crash or freeze up. Beware of the gun he's using right now.
3 action skills with skill trees lying within each of them, and like those 3 action skills themselves all have different variations and equipable things and nuances to them. So that combined with the weapons, there's a ton of complexity combined with the size of the world, the amount of quests and weird little things and busy work and mysteries going on. It's a lot, and I think that's good. I think they just need to figure out the technical stuff because once again, it's another game where a lot of people are reporting some issues. But that's where I'm at right now. That's just a quick before.
I've seen a lot of people refund the game.
It's very disappointing with the optimization, but I can see it coming back after a few updates for sure. Because I know the core mechanics are still there. People aren't really complaining about the core mechanic.
I want to show this before I move on.
Okay.
Theme charts for Borderlands 4. Like I said, it's not the worst. It's not the best. It's just okay. And that is the theme of this game. It's not the worst. It's not the best. It's somewhere around there. Do I recommend this game? No, not for $70. I would recommend waiting for a sale and then purchasing the game. I would not recommend purchasing it for $70, especially since there will be DLCs. We all know there will be DLCs. By the time you're gonna be done buying all the stuff for Borderlands 4, it's gonna be hundreds. So wait for sales. Not worth $70. It's more worth $50. And again, not the worst, not the best. Make your own decision. Borderlands 4 aggressively mid edition. Yes.
I would definitely buy that.
Look, if they make it their marketing aggressively mid edition, that would actually be pretty cool.
Yeah, like this would definitely bring back quite a bit of people that lost faith in Gearbox.
With the EULA, I wouldn't even check it for free. I 100% understand your concern.
Yeah.
That's why I was a little disappointed that he didn't mention the EULA in the review or what Randy Pitchfork was spewing. I was a little disappointed in that.